Meet the 2012 Mazda 3 with revolutionary Skyactiv technology. It's not the first 40 mile per gallon sedan. It's just the first one worth driving. We built.
We interrupt this program for an ABC 11 Eyewitness News AccuWeather alert.
Hi, everybody. Chris Holman along with Scott Dean. Sorry to interrupt your programming again, but the new tornado warning issue for Northampton County until 11:15. This tornado warning. This is the same storm that prompted the warning for Warren and Halifax counties just a little bit ago. So if you're in Northampton County, you need to take cover immediately. National Weather Service radar indicated a tornado near Garysburg and moving east at 45 miles per hour. Seaboard, Bryant's Corner, Margarettsville, these areas you want to take cover. This storm moving towards the east-northeast at 45 miles per hour. It has had a history of producing at least some rotation as it makes its way towards the north and northeast. We haven't got any reports of any damage from this storm as it moved across sections of Warren and Halifax counties. But right around Roanoke Rapids, that's where the storm is making its way very quickly there right on the Halifax-Northampton County line, moving east-northeast again at 45 miles per hour. When we put on the velocity again, that's the area where we see the rotation. This spot here where you see the greens and the reds coming together, these spots, that's where the potential tornado on the ground moving east-northeast at 45 miles per hour. So if you're in these areas till 11:15 for the next 30 minutes, a tornado warning is in effect. It will put on some of the roadways around this region where you can get an idea of where you may be in harm's way with this storm. Highway 301, also Highway 186, and back down to the south and southeast, Highway 158. This storm moving to the east-northeast at 45. That tornado warning just issued by the National Weather Service in Wakefield, Virginia, but Northampton County in the ABC 11 viewing area. That tornado warning in effect until 11:15 this evening. Moving just past the Weldon community, and this area here where you see the blues and the greens and the reds coming together, that's where there is some potential rotation with this storm. Moving very quickly. These storms have been moving quickly throughout the evening hours. That is the only storm that has any real potential to be severe. There are some showers back out here to the west, but they've been really weakening. This is with the actual front as it presses to the south and southeast, and that'll bring a big increase, or a big change, I should say, in our weather as we head through the next 12 to 24 hours. But this one storm in Northampton County, again, a tornado warning in effect until 11:15.
And as we look at Weather Source 2 here, I've zoomed in and we're picking up a couple of those shear markers as well. They started to show up once again. Once this storm passed over Weldon and just south of Roanoke Rapids, that's when we started to see the circulation begin to tighten up once again. This is right around the Gumberry community, right on State Highway 186, just to the east of Garysburg and to the west of Seaboard. This is on State Highway 186, as you can see right there. We'll back this out just a little bit to give you an idea exactly where this is. This is actually the National Weather Service out of Wakefield, Virginia, which is to the north and east on the north part of your screen there. And where we're seeing the reds, that's showing rotation, or excuse me, movement towards the radar site. The green is showing motion away from the radar site. So we're seeing these reds and greens starting to show up once again when they're right next to one another. That's an indication of that circulation that is tightening up. And there it is right there as we back it up. We started to lose those shear markers. There's where they were showing up earlier, where we had the tornado warning just to the west of Roanoke Rapids. And then as it started to push right over Roanoke Rapids, I-95, 158, and just to the east around the Weldon area, that's where we saw that circulation begin to tighten up once again as it crossed in to Northampton County. So looks like it's headed towards Margarettsville and again around the Seaboard area south of Pleasant Hill, and will be crossing over the border into Virginia. But Chris, this is the only cell that we've been seeing. Fortunately, we have not had any reports of any touchdowns or anything. This is a Doppler radar indicated tornado. But again, we're also at 10:45 at night, so it's nighttime obviously, and you can't see if there was damage.
Right, and that's what we mentioned earlier. We haven't had, this has not been a major ordeal in terms of severe weather, and we knew it wouldn't be, but we were a little surprised earlier in the evening that there weren't any real severe storms across the region. The tornado at 11 o'clock on Eyewitness News, you'll see the live report with a look at some of the damage in Davidson County, which is south of Greensboro. That tornado, in one fatality, caused one fatality, but it weakened rapidly as it moved into our section of central North Carolina. So we've had a really quiet night, despite the fact that a tornado watch remains in effect until midnight for much of the area. It has been canceled for some regions, and more than likely everybody will be in the clear by midnight. But this one cell certainly has warranted quite a bit of attention when it developed in the last hour. It was about an hour ago, really, that the first warning was issued, and it's held together pretty well. It'll be moving out of the region in the next 30 minutes. That's the good news, and I don't think anybody's going to need to stay up late tonight past your normal bedtime. If we go over to weather 3, we can show you that line of showers. This is with the actual front, but nothing severe. The heaviest rain with this is actually into Durham County, approaching downtown Durham right now, but nothing severe with that. We'll keep an eye on it just in case, but if anything, this whole line has been weakening as it presses on towards the east. I'm not sure. I think Steve Stewart's still standing by, though, in our Raleigh Storm Center, and he can give us a three-dimensional look at this storm that's up to the northeast of the triangle right now. Right, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely. In an environment like this where we have a lot of vertical wind shear, guys, earlier I had a great signature on here that was really showing the tilt of the storm, and that's a really good indicator. That's an environment with a lot of vertical wind shear. We still have a little bit of it. Notice that this storm is kind of tilted a little bit in this direction. And we had a really good overhang earlier, and we're getting some new data in so you can see it moving a little bit. This signature is actually weakening here in the last couple of minutes, which is always good news. We like to see that, and as long as this continues to get weaker, but less chance of it actually being tornadic on the ground. But again, still this is the same cell that we were tracking a little while ago. The warning goes away, it could pulse back up and get a little bit more strength, and then we have to get another warning issued in there. But overall, this particular system has been incredibly impressive. This here is what I call our rotation detector, and this actually gives you where the rotation was, and you can see that line just tracked right across Warren County and pushed up towards Roanoke Rapids, and of course that now is where we are seeing that rotation with that particular cell. So this particular graphic here allows us to track where the rotation was spotted, and even though it weakened, it was still a little bit of a signature, and that continues on even now. And as Chris mentioned earlier, we didn't have a lot of lightning. That was really in South Carolina, and now pushing down east. That's where Wilmington's getting quite a light show going on this evening. We're not seeing that around here, guys.
And yeah, that's typical of this time of year with these storms that we get in this time of the season, that there's not always a lot of lightning. Many times there's not. Now this is a look again at the velocity. That just shows us where the air is going away from and towards the radar site. And as we say over and over, where you see these colors, the greens and the reds come together, it's in that region that the air potentially is rotating, or it is. It's whether or not it's making it to the ground. And that's what we talk about with the Doppler radar. Many times it'll sense that rotation, and many times there won't be a tornado that reaches the ground, and a warning is issued, and the good news is there is no damage. The bad news is folks can become a little complacent because warnings are issued and nothing ever happens, which is great. But many times, or at least sometimes, that rotation does make it to the ground and there is a tornado. And the only way we know there's a tornado on the ground is when we get confirmation. The radar can have a really good signature, and this one has a fairly good one, but it doesn't produce a tornado. The rotation stays aloft, and that's great. But we don't know that. Radar can't see that the tornado's on the ground or not. So that's why the National Weather Service issues these warnings when they see that rotation, because it could very well make it to the ground any minute, and it may not ever. But they don't want to take a chance. We don't want to take a chance. They don't want to put anyone's lives in jeopardy, so they issue those tornado warnings. And the good news is that the lead time for tornado warnings has increased dramatically with the Doppler radar system. Again, this is the region across parts of Northampton County, south of Margarettsville there, that there could be a tornado on the ground. There's at least some gusty winds for sure. Winds could gust 50, 60 miles per hour with this as it presses on to the northeast or east at about 45 miles per hour. Fairly rural area, of course, of Northampton County. This is Highway 186, and just south of that, intersecting that, is Highway 305 with this storm pressing on to the northeast at 45 miles per hour. Good news is it'll be out of the region in the next 40 minutes or so, pushing into southeast Virginia, and I don't think we're going to have any problems out of these showers during the course of the next several hours as they press across the region and a cold front moves into the area from the west and northwest. Temperatures will drop. If you're just joining us, this is live coverage of a tornado warning that's in effect for parts of Northampton County, mainly the northern part of Northampton County. That's in effect until 11:15. A far northeastern part of our viewing area, that tornado warning remains in effect for the next 25 minutes or so, that tornado warning in effect. There's a look at the radar. Now, there's also a severe thunderstorm warning in effect north of Milwaukee and north from Roanoke Rapids up into southern Virginia. But the tornado warning is sort of inside that, where you see that sort of purple or magenta color. That's where there is a tornado warning with this as it is advancing towards the southern Virginia area right now. Tornado warning, though, in effect. Tornado watch in effect for all of the region except southern Virginia. That's in effect until midnight for central parts of North Carolina. This is the region here southwest of Margarettsville that could be impacted by the storm. If you're anywhere in this region, remember the best thing to do is just go to the lowest floor. Get in the middle of the house and protect yourself with a pillow, blanket, anything that you can to cover your head. Of course, don't forget the pets. If you can grab them and drag them in there with you, too, and ride the storm out until it moves across the region. It's been a very persistent storm through the evening hours as it moves across the region, but we haven't had any reports of damage and no reports of injuries. That's the good news, even as the storm began into Warren County, into Halifax and Northampton County, too. Back out here to the west, just have a cold front that's pressing to the east. Rain's about to move into the triangle, Wake County. It's in Durham County now. Some moderate to heavy rain there, and then just lighter showers from Warren County back towards Burlington. This all pressing on to the east-northeast. Again, that tornado warning in effect until 11:15 for Northampton County.
Just checked with the National Weather Service in Wakefield, Virginia. They have not issued an update yet. A lot of times they will and indicate which areas are under the greatest risk. I was looking at some other information, radar information, and it looked like this system was tightening up the circulation. Let's go to weather source 2 here, and I've got the velocity. What I'm going to highlight here is this red, and where you're seeing this green and this whitish area just southwest of Seaboard. That's where the circulation, where I was looking at some other information, was confirming that that's where the circulation tightened up. We very well might end up getting a touchdown in that area. We'll just have to wait and see. But it looks like on this latest image, now the area of concern is now east of Seaboard, now over into this area just south of Margarettsville, heading over towards the north of in Northampton County. Let me go ahead and zoom into this. Let's see if we can get some areas to identify, because this is a pretty rural area. As I put in some of these locations, Fasons over towards the Galata area, and let me zoom out a little bit farther here. That's where we're seeing this circulation. But again, Chris, no confirmation, at least not from the National Weather Service, that this is a touchdown. But in a fairly rural area, just south of Margarettsville. Let me highlight some of these small roads right here. This is state. Let's see if we can grab that one right there. This highway right here. Boy, they're so small that I'm having a hard time grabbing. No, that's definitely not it. I think those are actually. I believe those are rivers, Chris. It's so small there that we don't have any roads in that area.
Yeah, it's generally south of Margarettsville. It's along and south of Highway 186 in Northampton County. And this cell really hugging almost the Virginia line there in northern sections of Northampton County. And it is a really rural area, so we're having a little bit of a hard time. But around Mount Carmel Road there, like you said, Scott, that area, you got to get in real tight to get some of those roads. Steve Stewart standing by in the Raleigh Storm Center. Again, we can get this unique view where we get a 3D look at the storm, and also which is a history of the rotation as it moved across the northern Piedmont into the northern coastal plain. Steve?
Yeah, thanks very much, Chris. Yeah, I've been watching this and looking for that tilt of the storm, and we've been seeing it this evening. Still relatively strong signatures we've been seeing with this storm. Let me go ahead and get a little bit closer in now and examine the latest. You know, we get this new image in roughly about every 3 minutes or so, and sometimes I just like to pan around. You can get an idea if we're getting a lot of overhang or if we're getting much storm tilt here. And we're getting a little bit of it, not as much as we were before, but still a fairly healthy cell, as you can see right now. Let me go ahead and take it to the next graphic. This is what I wanted to show you. This particular graphic is what we call a rotation detector, but really all it is the radar can get a signature of rotation. We call it shear, and then it marks it and tracks it. So this is, you can actually make out pretty close where that tornado warning was earlier, and that shear continued all the way up until live, which is happening right about now, just off to the north and east there of Roanoke Rapids, mainly east there of Roanoke Rapids. We didn't get a lot of lightning around here. The lightning primarily has all been down to the south in parts of South Carolina and pushing all the way over towards Wilmington. We haven't had that much around here with us, but there's still plenty of thunder and lightning going on from Charlotte all the way up to the Triad earlier this evening. But again, this particular storm, we're going to have to continue to monitor. We expect it to get weaker here relatively quickly, but still with that tornado warning in effect right now for at least the next 18 minutes or so, Chris.
Right, Steve, just about another 15, 20 minutes, and that storm will be really pushing out of our viewing area very quickly. And then the threat of severe weather from everything Scott and you and I have been looking at is diminishing rapidly. The tornado watch will stay in effect probably until midnight, but this line of showers, if we go over to weather 3, you can see that there's a line of showers. There's a cold front approaching that's sparking this severe weather, but along the immediate front itself, all we're seeing now is just some a line of showers and not really any thunder, some embedded heavier rain here and there, and it's actually been weakening. The intensity of the rainfall rates has really been going down. The big news out of this tonight has been the tornado in Davidson County, and things really during the early evening hours it made us a little bit nervous because tornado warnings were going on around Charlotte, into South Carolina, into Georgia, and that was all heading our way. And it appeared that conditions in the atmosphere were going to be fairly favorable for at least a couple of isolated tornadoes and some damaging winds. And then that cell moved into Davidson County, and there have been reports of damage, significant damage, one fatality. That storm, though, as it moved out of Davidson County, which is, if you're not familiar with that part of the Piedmont, is just to the southwest of Greensboro, southwest of Guilford County, south of Forsyth County, south of Winston-Salem. That weakened rapidly as it moved to the northeast, and no problems for Alamance or Person County. We were a little bit nervous with that as it pressed across that region, but it weakened. And then there was nothing since then. Everything sort of diminished, even though the conditions in the atmosphere remain pretty favorable. And that happens sometimes. You have everything going for at least some severe weather, and it just doesn't occur. It's not an exact science. We've gotten a little bit of an uptick in the activity in the last hour or so with this tornado warning, this cell, which has been pretty persistent in producing at least some rotation across areas of Northampton County and back to the west across Halifax and Warren County too. But again, it's about to move out of the region. It's right over Margarettsville right now. Now, the National Weather Service continues to whittle away the tornado watch for areas around the Triangle. Durham and Vance and Granville County no longer under the watch. If you're really from Durham north and west, the watch has been canceled, and we'll show you that coming up on Eyewitness News in just a few minutes. But for the next hour or so, the rest of the region from Raleigh and areas to the south and east of there, that tornado watch remains in effect. But if you're generally from Durham to the north and west, no worries. And I think really the rest of us are in pretty good shape too. It's really just this one storm that was able to sort of get a little out of hand and get fairly strong. No reports of any damage, no reports of any injuries, but it has been a pretty strong storm. It's about to move out of Margarettsville in the next few minutes and then push into southern Virginia out of our viewing area. So we may be able to give at least the all clear for our viewers in Northampton County in the next 10 or 15 minutes. But of course, the warning does expire in 15 minutes. And still seeing a bit of that rotation south of Margarettsville. It's this region right in here where there could be at least some rotation with the storm as it presses off to the northeast at 45 miles per hour. So that tornado warning in effect. It's the only warning we've had. A severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect too for parts of Northampton County. But to the south and west of there, there's nothing much going on. You see on First Alert Doppler XP, just some scattered areas of rainfall. If you are in that region of northern Northampton County, you want to take cover though until that warning expires. Now we'll go to Steve Daniels and Tisha Powell with the beginning of Eyewitness News at 11.
Keeping you connected with today's breaking news. ABC 11 Eyewitness News at 11 starts right now.
An AccuWeather alert is first tonight. Right now, some of us are under a tornado watch until midnight, and there's a tornado warning until 11:15 in Northampton County. Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Steve Daniels.
And I'm Tisha Powell. Tonight, people in the Triad are cleaning up after an evening of wild weather. In Davidson County, multiple weather-related rescues are taking place right now, and there's reported. In this video, you can see rescue crews loading a man into an ambulance after he was struck by a tree. We have live coverage from Davidson County that's just ahead, but first, let's check in with Chief Meteorologist meteorologist Chris Homan. He's in the First Alert Storm Center. Chris.
All right, alongside Scott Dean and Steve Stewart in the Raleigh Storm Center, too. If you're just joining us again, tornado warning for the next 15 minutes for parts of Northampton County. If we could go to Weather 1 this time around, and we'll show you on First Alert Doppler XP. There's not much going on in terms of severe weather, except in this one area, far northeastern parts of our viewing area. The tornado warning's been whittled down somewhat, but extreme northeastern sections of Northampton County, that tornado warning remains in effect right around Margarettsville. We don't see a whole lot of rotation with this right now. There's still some, though, in this region right around Margarettsville and north of Pendleton. And this storm moving pretty quickly to the northeast at 45 miles per hour. It'll be out of the viewing area very shortly as it continues to press on to the northeast. And around the rest of the region, just some showers. And notice the National Weather Service has whittled away that tornado watch that's in effect, Notice there are no warnings. Just about the entire region was under a tornado watch. But now from Raleigh to the north and east, tornado watch until 12, and then down to Fayetteville. But the threat of severe weather really is diminishing rapidly. Once this goes by to the north and northeast, things will settle down pretty quickly. Here's a look, too, through the evening hours at the line of storms racing across the region as the cold front comes our way. This is the back edge of the rainfall right now with the actual cold front, and that's the cell there that's producing the potential tornado. We haven't had any reports of a confirmation or any reports of any damage or injuries from areas of Warren County, Halifax County, or Northampton County. And this is our AccuWeather predictor forecast model as the line of showers moves on through. Here we are at midnight. Notice then just some light rains. The threat of severe weather really goes down. Don't think you need to stay up really late tonight and worry about any tornado warnings. The atmosphere is stabilizing pretty quickly once that goes by, and then we're going to clear out rapidly as things start to settle down. But it's still very warm, and that's the problem. You get temperatures in the low 70s at 11 o'clock at night in November, and that sets the stage for potential severe weather when a strong cold front comes our way. Scott?
Yeah, zooming into this one cell here on Weather Source 2, this appears to be where the strongest storm is. Not seeing the rotation that we were seeing earlier on is strong, the signature, but certainly this is a very strong cell that certainly could be producing straight line winds in excess of 58 miles an hour and also some hail. I've zoomed in very tightly on some of these small roadways in northeastern Northampton County. Let me back out, give you an idea where we are. There's Margarettsville right there. That's the Virginia border. So this is right in the far northern corner of Northampton County. So if you're watching from Jackson over towards Bryantown, Roanoke Rapids, Pleasant Hill, even over towards the Conway area, this storm is out of your area. It's moving away from Margarettsville, but now the focus is now shifting off to the north into southeast Virginia as this storm continues to move off in that direction. In fact, we can put this into some motion and give you the idea of the motion over the past 30 minutes or so. As we lapse it there, it crossed over the Roanoke River earlier on, right around the Roanoke Rapids area, started to see that circulation tighten up around Weldon and just to the east of there, and then that's when the tornado warning was issued, as you can see by the purple color, and now that's been whittled away. So a very small area, very rural area that we're watching right now, Chris, and I tell you what, this is really the only game in town. The other storms are weakening, and I feel pretty confident areas to the triangle, and especially southward, are probably out of the woods as far as severe weather.
And one of the reasons for that, Scott, is if we can go to Weather 1, check out the temperatures now. We're at 73 at Raleigh-Durham International at 11 o'clock, 59 at Roxborough, 62 Chapel Hill and Oxford, while it's 72 in Roanoke Rapids. Easy to see where the front is. It's pressing to the south and east. Once you get that go by, things are over. And even before that, actually, because the storms or the showers along that front are not all that strong. Steve Stewart standing by in the Raleigh Storm Center with a unique view of the storms, the one that's left in Northampton County, getting a 3D look at it. Right, Steve?
That's right, Chris. Yeah, and if you look at the profile of this storm, anytime we have a storm that starts to tilt a little bit, and you can see how it has been tilting here, what happens is the winds go up a lot. Not only do they move in different directions, but in different speeds as well. And sometimes we're going to get this tilt to the storm like that. That's a good indication that we do have a severe storm, and that's exactly what we're dealing with right now. And this is a way we can actually track some of that rotation. This is what we call our rotation detector here at ABC 11. And and this takes the shear that the storm actually sees, and it tracks where it's been moving. And that's exactly the path this cell has been on and continues to be as it moves off to the east right now, fast at about 45 miles an hour. By the way, Chris mentioned earlier about all the lightning strikes. There's been a lot of it to our south. We really haven't seen that much lightning around here, and that's typical for this time of the year, as Chris has been saying. But of course, once this front gets through, and we're talking not too far away from now, everything shuts down. We clear things out, and we're going to see some improving weather over the coming days, but much cooler, right?
That's right, Steve. You mentioned the much cooler. They hit a nail on the head. If we can go over to weather one, this is what temperatures will look like tomorrow in the afternoon. We were at 79 today. Tomorrow afternoon will be in the upper 40s. Now, to start out fairly mild, the cold front's going through. It'll fall into the 50s in many areas overnight, especially from Raleigh and Durham to the north and northwest. But that cooler air will continue to filter in. There'll be some rain around potentially in the morning, and then some sunshine in the afternoon. But even into the afternoon, by 4 o'clock or so, mid to upper 40s from the Triangle northward to about 50 in Fayetteville. So get those jackets handy. It was summer-like today, 84 in Fayetteville with that 79 at RDU Airport. Not going to be like that at all. And by tomorrow night, we're down into the upper 20s and lower 30s. Now back over to weather 3 if we could, and look at First Alert Doppler XP. This is the front itself with just some showers. Nothing severe with any of this activity here across portions of southern Virginia around South Hill and then back into Roxborough. This is all just mainly light to moderate rain.